tears will flow for one, and one alone.
Duskblood isn't a single-player game. We'll get to that in a minute because we have a lot of news to cover this week, but if you really can't wait, look in the description. We timestamped it for you.
Welcome to Necro News, the show where we cover the hottest gaming news from the last week. We're going to cover the April Fool's jokes that weren't jokes, RuneScape's new game, everything about the Nintendo Switch 2, and a lot more. We've got a lot to cover, so subscribe to keep up to date. April Fool's has come and gone, and as usual, there are a lot of good jokes and a lot of really stupid ones, like Razer's AI-powered Gen Alpha translator called Skibbity.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But as is the case every year, there are plenty of gags that were good and weren't actually pranks at all.
For instance, Palworld announced their dating simulator, More Than Pals. Again. This time, however, they put a Steam page up, allowing people to wishlist the game, meaning that this time the dating sim is real. It's not that surprising considering Lovander is a thing, but still it's kind of weird.
Nikki with an E released their annual April Fool's Day special, this time being a new story and game mode featuring Mecha Shifty, which is honestly just a gun tank from Gundam but with jiggly warheads, and also a brand new trailer for a fictional movie.
Speaking of jiggly, NetEase decided that everyone having 19 inches of Venom wasn't enough. They decided we also needed to see him throw it back by giving him a twerking emote. It honestly just looks like that weird Squid Games animation, but why?
Konami decided to partner with OKS Gear to sell limited edition Silent Hill pillows. But what makes it special is that it has the words that Mary wrote in her letter to James, and they glow in the dark, which I can't really imagine feels very comfortable to sleep on.
Mojang continued their tradition of putting a year's worth of work into a single day and then doing absolutely nothing for the rest of the year. This year, they released the CraftMine update, which allows you to craft an entire subworld for your main world, allowing you to have unique challenge levels. From what I understand, the entire game mode is altered since you can't craft or do anything, only being able to use an auto crafter.
Those were the best examples that we can find, but let us know if we missed any. If you want to know what the real joke is, the Switch 2's price.
You may not know this about me, but for a long time I've been looking for a game that will satiate my appetite for the 80s dark fantasy vibe. Lots of people have given suggestions, but the most unlikely candidate has been announced from the developer Jagex.
Ancient MMO RuneScape will be getting its first new game in a long time, and it's not an MMO or an RPG. Well, not exactly. RuneScape Dragonwilds will be a new survival game, kind of like Rust, 7 Days to Die, Valheim, you know the drill. Not really my type of game, but the game does look pretty.
In true RuneScape style, you're going to have your cooking, your woodcutting, your fishing, your usual abilities. You'll see a lot of things that you recognize, like lining up a row of trees and cutting them all down, and monsters from RuneScape such as rats and trolls and cows and other crap, but they've all been mutated by the strange wild magic of the world Ashenfall.
Jagex will be doing a full deep dive on the game during a Twitch stream on April 15th, but if you're excited for the game, you can expect it to be available this spring, in early access.
Farewell! I'll get you more! La!
On April 2nd, Tekken 8 released the long-awaited Season 2 patch. The patch, according to the Tekken 8 stream, was supposed to be aimed towards a more defensive-styled gameplay, something that the community had called for as Tekken 8 is oddly aggressive. Usually, the Tekken team does a pretty good job with their balancing, so it should be okay, right?
Not this time. It never happened.
Without going into all of the details, the Tekken 8 Season 2 patch is not great. Paul, one of the most played characters online, has an infinite combo that starts when his attack is blocked, and one of his moves can take half the health bar if in rage mode. Eddie can also now teleport right next to an opponent if you hold forward as the match starts, and King now has homing grabs, which eliminates a lot of the skill needed for that character.
That's not all though. Jack, a series mainstay, has a bit of a complicated change, and to not confuse people who don't play fighting games, basically Jack now has a combo that can lock the opponent into a 50-50 chance where either they get a bit of damage and Jack can just keep attacking, or they immediately die. And this is just a taste of what they've done to various characters. In fact, as far as anyone can tell, all the legacy characters have been simplified to be easier to play as.
Players took to Twitter to voice their displeasure, calling for many changes to be reverted, and the Tekken team did acknowledge that changes need to be made. And on April 3rd, the official Tekken Twitter posted that they were going to deploy an emergency patch to address at least Paul and Jack's broken combos. But as players have pointed out, these are the only confirmed fixes, with other broken things such as King's homing grabs being evaluated.
This isn't really a good look for the Tekken team, as when longtime fans of the series brought up valid criticism towards the patch, they were called legacy players derogatorily, and some were even blocked by Tekken team on Twitter. Though in T-Team's defense, some gamers were being pretty rude, but what do you guys think? Do you guys play Tekken? Do you hate the changes? Let us know in the comments. You guys remember Billy Mitchell? He's the dude that got famous because he got a high score on Donkey Kong. He was also on the regular show. But whether or not he cheated to get that high score isn't necessarily the point anymore. Billy Mitchell has won the defamation case against Carl Jobst, a YouTuber who popularized the claim that Billy Mitchell was a cheater.
Despite Billy having been absolved of cheating by Twin Galaxies last year, Jobst still maintained in courts that not only did Billy cheat at Donkey Kong, but that he was a significant factor in the self-exit of Billy's original accuser, Apollo Legend.
The result of the trial ended up being that while the judge did acknowledge that Billy had an existing reputation as a cheat and found that Billy had expressed joy when he believed that Apollo Legend may have died, though that was before his actual death, Jobs' videos had severely damaged Billy's reputation. The judge also stated that Jobs had a crusade against Mitchell, stating that he was trying to show his audience that he is the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon.
So the Australian courts have ordered Jobs to pay Billy $220,000 in damages. The kicker to this though is that Jobs had most of his legal costs crowdfunded, so in his loss he had to take to Twitter to announce that he lost and will work to pay everyone back. Mitchell, however, yeah, he's just not a very nice guy, cheater or not.
We are going to talk about the Switch 2 in just a minute. We're going to leave it till the very last story because it's less breaking news and more conglomeration of all the information about the Switch 2 that Nintendo purposely made difficult to get a hold of, and also our opinions. But first,
let's talk about Duskblood. Since the Direct, a lot of people were excited for what was basically Bloodborne 2, like myself. But actually, that's not at all what it is. On Friday, Nintendo posted a 3-part interview with Miyazaki about the new game coming out, and it's probably not what people were expecting. To start, it doesn't have a story mode, nor a single-player campaign. It's going to be an online-only PvPvE, like Tarkov.
Also, you don't create your character. Instead, it'll be much like Night Rain, where you'll be able to select from over a dozen characters that can be customized and all have their own abilities and weapons. The customization items that you can use will be where all of the lore and world building will come from, since there isn't supposedly much within the game itself.
You can swap between them at the winged rat creature that serves as the game's hub companion, and the game is, like we said, online multiplayer. It's set up for up to 8 players, all fighting each other for a last player standing situation, but according to Miyazaki, it's not always going to be about killing each other.
The system that From Software have come up with is all about gaining victory points, whether through defeating massive world bosses, killing other players, completing your personal objective, or doing your role's job. The player with the highest amount of victory points will be the winner.
Despite winning or losing, all players will gain rewards when returning to the hub world, but honestly, with all the new information, I don't think I'm as excited as I was for it originally. It does still look pretty, but it's probably not really worth the $80 that Nintendo's putting on it. But what do you guys think? I know a lot of people were excited for like Bloodborne 2 and Bloodborne coming to the PC, but doesn't look like we're really getting that. So yeah.
All right, let's break down everything about the Switch 2 that we have spent the last 6 days gathering. We're not going to go over all the games. Everyone else has already done that. Instead, we wanted to clarify some of the misinformation that people keep spreading around. To start with, the Switch 2 does have a voice chat feature bound to the new C button, but it's only usable if you pay for the Nintendo Online service. It's going to have a ton of Switch ports that are enhanced, yes, and it is sort of backwards compatible. However, not all Switch games are backwards compatible, such as the Labo VR game. The console is capable of using NVIDIA DLSS and ray tracing, and has a 256GB storage, with games like Cyberpunk 2077 only taking up about 64GB.
But how much is the Switch exactly? A lot of people have been going around saying a lot of stuff because of tariffs, especially since the Switch 2 pre-orders are delayed because of them. But as of right now, the Switch costs $449.99. However, if you want to get the Switch 2 with the $80 game Mario Kart World, you can get it for
$499 US.
That is, unless you're Japanese. Japan is getting a significantly cheaper Japanese language only option for only $333. What makes this irritating is that no other country is getting a region-specific console. Make of that what you will. As for the games, many people have been complaining that the Switch 2's games are all going to be $80. But that's not strictly true. While yes, Mario Kart World is an $80 game, another Switch 2 exclusive, Donkey Kong Bonanza, will only be $69.99. That's still $70. And Nintendo fans wondered why the latest Treehouse stream was chat-bombed with lower the price.
Besides the obvious reasons, there's also the fact that the Switch 2 physical games aren't actually games. At least not all of them. Nintendo revealed that some Switch 2 physical games will have what they call a game key card, and these are basically game cartridges that act like a key to download the game to the console. There's no game data on the cartridges, just a key to download the game from the eShop, which of course means you need internet connection to use the card the first time.
One thing that has been confusing a lot of people is, can I lend this game to a friend? Can I resell a game I bought? The answer, after a lot of research, is yes. The game keys require the cartridge to be in the system in order to play the game. So if you'll insert the game cart into any other Switch, whether you're logged in or not, it'll still work. That being said, Switch games that are Switch 2 enhanced, like Pokemon Legends, ZA, and Metroid Prime 4, are only upgraded on the device through the use of a download code included with the Switch 1 game. In other words, fuck Nintendo. I'm good. I hope this fails. Fuck Nintendo.
So like, if game companies are gonna be this scummy, we can't keep calling games art.
Nintendo games haven't been art since the N64, basically. Yeah.
No, but seriously, if you want to be treated like art, you have to look at how books are treated and how books are archived. To take how publishing companies for games are treating their customers,
Yeah.
and their art form.
Yeah.
You can't call it art. It's literally just capitalism. It's not art.
Correct, which is why console gaming is not art, but PC gaming is, because you can always archive a PC game.
This week's Buried Alive Banger, a segment where we cover a game our community doesn't think has had enough attention, is actually 2 games this week, one from both of us. For me, I wanted to highlight Myriad Death. It's a hollow indie title featuring the one and only Mori. It's a top-down roguelike shooter, sort of like Binding of Isaac, where you play as Callie as she reclaims the underworld. It also features a lot of Callie's music.
And as for me, Faceminer. It's a clicker game with a creepy AI Windows 95 aesthetic. I really like it. Don't judge me. I've been playing Nubby too much. And here are all the games coming out this week. Unfortunately, South of Midnight apparently sucks. I'm actually pretty upset about that. But Promise Mascot Agency is coming out and it looks really fun.
And here's our schedule for this week. Tuesday's stream will start at 10 because that's when Nikki finishes updating. So you get to see me spend more on gacha.
And then on Wednesday, we'll do a one-off stream where we'll play this weird game that was recommended to us. And that's all we have for you guys this week. As always, thank you for watching, and if you made it all the way to the end, use the heartbreak, or if you remember the Ellie Rip emote for that Nintendo Switch 2 you don't have $500 to spend on.
And as always, a very special thank you to all of our channel members. If you'd like to show your support for Necro News, becoming a member will give you access to bonus content like bloopers, sneak peeks, emojis, and other cool stuff.
But anyway, that's it. So until next time, goodbye.